All right, guys, welcome to Minnesota Sports HQ. I'm Ben,
And I'm Jordan.
and we hope you all are having a great day. Now, today, February 24th, my birthday, but also a great day for Minnesota sports, mostly.
Yes, indeed. We had the Minnesota Twins in action, spring training. We had the Wolves back in action, and we also had Minnesota United.
And then, of course, it's Saturday, so we had quite a bit of some quality college
We
hockey.
did have some quality college hockey.
And, we went to the St. Cloud game, as evidenced by the attire, and saw some pretty cool stuff, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So, we'll start off with Minnesota United, and what was the score in that game, Jordan?
They did lose. It was 2-0. Do you want to tell us more about that?
Yep, I can do that. So, reading a little bit about the game, I wasn't really able to watch because it was during the same time as the St. Cloud game, but it's the last preseason game before the MLS season starts. Now, I don't know how many of you care, but it was facing the Columbus Crew, who this might be their last season in Ohio. They might be moving to Texas, moving to Austin, which would be really unfortunate because they've had a few decent runs in the playoffs the last couple of years. So obviously, saying that, they're a very good team, and they've been playing together a long time. So when Minnesota United comes to town, not fully playing the starters, but we have a lot of our starters in there. And it was a pretty even first 30 minutes from what I've heard, but Higuain, Federico, not Gonzalo Higuain, Federico Higuain scored in the 32nd minute, and then Jossie Zardes scored in the 38th minute. And Minnesota, not the most attacking team, so it was pretty much done there. Now, this was pretty much Christian Ramirez's first game after being called up to the U.S. men's national team last month, which incredible for him.
So, a question for you.
Okay.
Were the starters in action today for Minnesota United?
Mostly, I'd say, there were probably one or two guys that were in the starting lineup that didn't play, mainly at center back and left back. But most of the starters, and Columbus played most of their starters as well. So no shame losing 2-0 to Columbus. They're a very good team. And I think that's enough soccer for today. Can't wait for the regular season. But another preseason thing that happened today.
We had the Minnesota Twins in action. They were facing Baltimore down in Florida. Not many starters played today. We saw Grossman out there, Adrianza, Vargas. And that was about it for starters, anyways. The Orioles, they had basically their starting lineup out there today, with Beckham, Machado, Jones, Trumbo,
And Shoop. Jonathan Shoop.
Yeah.
Shoop dog.
It did end in a 1-1 tie. Yes, a tie in baseball. In spring training, there's really no use to play extra innings. So it's good to see the Twins back in action, though. They are on Fox Sports North tomorrow. So
Awesome.
just
Well,
wanna
we'll
check the boys
definitely be
out.
watching that game to fill you guys in on what we see, and we will have a Twin season preview coming out soon. Hope you guys are all excited for that. And only a few bench players really playing for the Twins, and like you said, 5 starters playing for Baltimore. That means our pitching must have done pretty well.
Yeah, encouraging sign. Um, who we had a who was on the mound?
Well, Mejia was on the
Mejia,
mound.
he started. No, not bad. He had 2 hits, giving up in 2 innings. A couple strikeouts. So
Yep,
he'll be fighting for that fourth, fifth spot in the rotation.
Yep, and another pitcher who was very good today was not Fernando Rodney, but what was his name? Romero. Fernando Romero.
That's right. Young guy. He had 2 solid innings, no hits, a strikeout. Maybe we'll see more of him on the major league team. So yeah, nice to see the boys back in action. Still about a month away until opening day. But we did have the Minnesota Timberwolves back in action tonight on a back-to-back. They were hosting Zach LaVine and the Chicago Bulls without our main man, Jimmy. Do you want to tell us more about that?
Yeah, sure. Not only Zach LaVine is on their team, but also Chris Dunn.
Yes.
And, whenever we come up in these games, we're always worried that our former players are going to go off against us. And, it did look like they were going to go off against us. I believe Zach LaVine had 15 points in the first half.
Yeah.
Chris Dunn also had 6 or 8, something like that. But, the game finished 122-104 in the T-Wolves' favor, but very close game throughout up until about the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, the Wolves were only up by 4 going into the fourth, and then they just exploded in the fourth quarter. You gotta wonder if they were just kind of toying with the Bulls.
Yeah, maybe. They could have been. I mean, there's always a chance, but yeah, Jimmy Butler out, obviously, but he did make some kid's day in Seattle for the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have him make our wishes for helping our team make the playoffs.
Yeah, in case you didn't hear, he will be out 4 to 6 weeks with a meniscus tear. That's about all we know as of right now. He's gonna have surgery in the next couple of days, so
Yep.
hopefully he'll be back to make a playoff run.
Yep. A few other things of note from the game. Lauri Markkanen, who the T-Wolves drafted but traded, played.
Towns shut him down tonight.
Yeah, 31 minutes, 3 points,
Just
7 rebounds.
1 of 8 from the field, 12%.
Yeah, pretty awful. And their starting center and their starting shooting forward, I've actually never heard of. Cristiano Felicio and David Nwaba. Not too great from them, but the highest scorer on the Bulls was, of course, Zach LaVine, as we're used to seeing. Chris Dunn had 10, Denzel Valentine had 11 off the bench, Bobby Portis had 15, Cameron Payne had 11, and Noah Vonleh had 8 off the bench. So, their bench having a little bit of production.
Yeah, it was nice to see before the game the Wolves gave a nice little tribute to Zach LaVine, which resulted in a standing ovation from the sellout crowd tonight. So that was good to see from the Wolves fans.
Yep, and, obviously without Jimmy Butler, the T-Wolves had a little bit harder to, get anything going and stop opponents on the defensive side of the ball. Nemanja Bjelica replaced Jimmy Butler in the lineup, which is never what you want to see.
That was interesting. I thought they were going to go with Crawford, but I mean, it wasn't a bad decision. Crawford comes in and sparks the team off the bench. So.
Yep, and Nemanja Bjelica scoring 8 points in that game, or else, as we like to call him, be a pizza. And another standout player, we were actually talking about this before the game, about who we thought was going to step up in replacement of Jimmy Butler being gone. And, Jordan said Andrew Wiggins, and I said Taj Gibson, and you know what?
They both did.
We were both right. Taj Gibson had 19 points and 10 rebounds, so a double-double for him. That might be his first double-double in a Twins uniform.
Yeah. And also, Towns, Wiggins, and Teague, especially Teague, they all stepped up. Teague had 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists, which was great to see.
Awesome, yeah.
Wiggins, I predicted he'd have 27 points. He had 23. You got to wonder if it was a little bit closer. Maybe he would have got past that 27 mark. But nonetheless, great night from Wiggins. Great night from Towns. Just a double-double machine. 22 points, 13 boards tonight for the big man.
Yep, and, off the bench, our bench is not great. We had Jamal Crawford, really the only one doing anything, as per usual. 19 points from the bench. Gorgie had 2. Tyus Jones had 2. Marcus Georges-Hunt had 2. And surprisingly, Aaron Brooks and Cole Aldrich stepped on the floor.
Their job is mostly to hype people up. Maybe, I don't know, get people water. But they were on the floor tonight, which is a great sign for the Wolves. You never see that.
Yeah, Cole Aldrich had one shot attempt and it bounced off the rim pathetically, as per usual.
Yeah.
I really hope he never has to play.
You know what I found interesting was three main players came off the bench. I mean, Georges Hunt had 1 minute. That was that garbage time. But we saw Tyus, Gorgie, and Jamal. Three bench players. You gotta wonder if Tibbs is just gonna like wear them down to the ground before playoffs. That's what I'm kind of scared for.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to win the games we have to win.
Yeah. I mean, our first job, I think, is to make the playoffs.
Even if we get 8th, we made the playoffs, which is better than 14 years.
It's been since 2004.
Yeah. So now a little look at where we are in the standings. What do we got?
We're still in the 3 spot.
Actually, we moved up to the 3 spot.
I mean, yeah, we moved up to the 3 spot. We gained half a game over the Spurs. The Thunder, who were just behind us in the 5th spot, they lost to the Warriors, and this just shows how tight the West is. They were in the 5 spot, and they moved down to the 7 spot. So the Wolves 10.5 back behind Houston and Golden State. Spurs right on our tails, just a half game back. Portland a game back from the Spurs, and then we see the logjam of the 3 through even 9 seed.
Mm-hmm.
We're still just 3.5 games ahead of the Clippers.
Yep. So absolutely insane. 6 teams within able to make the playoffs. Basically 7 teams challenging for the playoffs. And, Minnesota could be the one that's eliminated, even though we're in the 3 seed right now, which would be insane if we got the 3 seed.
Just a couple games could decide everything. And
How
about this upcoming stretch we have?
Yep, pretty tough. I know we're for sure playing Sacramento in our next game, so that's hopefully a win, to, get the new team, have a few games together before we play some tough opponents. But
then we got the Trailblazers, we got the Jazz, and then we have the Celtics at home.
And the Warriors.
Warriors at home, which is prime time Sunday afternoon ABC against the Warriors. We have a tough next 10 games.
Yep.
So it's crucial. We at least got to go, I'd say 6-4 out of those 10.
Yep, which is going to be tough. And saying that, there's only 20 games left in the season, so maybe in the next couple of episodes we'll bring up my favorite website, playoffstatus.com, telling us what chances we have to finish in each spot. But, actually, weirdly, we normally put college hockey, kind of to the side. We just talk about the scores. Yeah. Don't do too much analysis because, there's not too much we can actually analyze without knowing a lot. Because, we can just find out, the scores, the shots, who played, basically. But today's a little different.
Today is a little different. We had the privilege to attend the St. Cloud State-Denver game, a top 3 matchup tonight. What a game.
It was an absolutely insane game. St. Cloud scored first, and then Denver struck right back, tied it up 1-1. That was the end of the first period. And then going into the second period, we were kind of confident, but
kind of a back and forth game in the second period. We did get a goal, so it was 2-1 going into the final frame. The third period, oh my gosh,
it was ridiculous. So how it started, well, about I'd say probably 6 minutes in, St. Cloud had a goal denied for goalie interference, and when I mean I don't like accusing the refs, but I saw nothing wrong with that goal.
It was a terrible call. They showed the instant replay on the video boards, and the whole crowd went nuts. But we were kind of talking about this earlier. It really got the crowd engaged in the game.
Yep.
You could just tell the next goal St. Cloud was going to have, the roof was going to explode.
Yep, and unfortunately right after that goal called off, Denver scored about 2 minutes after it, which really got the crowd, just kind of hating the refs. And, I mean, it was kind of deserved.
Yeah, well deserved.
And it almost felt like they were trying to make the, who gets the trophy. Wait till next weekend.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was 2-2 for a long time, and then 5 minutes left. St. Cloud gets a little bit of a breakaway. Ryan Paling comes down, and he crosses into the opponent's zone. He crosses the blue line, and everyone in the arena just stands up, like mentally preparing for what's about to happen. And a very silky move, and he backhands it top shelf, and to take the lead 3-2.
Oh my gosh, the Herb Brooks National Hockey Center went nuts. Oh.
Normally you can hear a goal song after we score a goal. No.
You could barely hear the horn.
Yep.
That's how loud it was tonight. It was a great atmosphere. Oh my gosh.
And then, the final few minutes we were cheering, so loud, rooting on our team for the defense. And then, they emptied the net. We had a nice long empty net goal.
We had a couple chances at the empty net, and a snipe from about,
it was our own blue line, probably.
Yeah, our own blue line, just a snipe. And that's when it really sunk in, like, all right, the St. Cloud State Huskies are about to be the NCHC champions.
Yep. And, we didn't expect to see the trophy at all. We thought it would, wait till next weekend once the season was over. But on senior night, they gave out the trophy.
The Penrose Cup. That was cool to see. Just an awesome night.
Yeah, and since it was my birthday, I'll put up a couple pictures on the screen right now of some of the moments that we saw. We took a few pictures, and, great birthday for sure.
It was awesome to do it against it would have still been cool to see it, maybe against like a Miami or Colorado College, but since it was against Denver, a top 3 matchup, they were right behind us in the standings. It just made it 10 times better to do it on our home ice even, too.
Yep, and, let's not get too carried away. There are other teams in Minnesota that need some love.
Unfortunately, the Gophers do not get any love tonight. They took the L again to Penn State, 5-2. Some other games tonight in action in the NCHC. North Dakota, were they upset last night?
They lost in overtime.
Yeah, they lost in overtime to Miami. They tied tonight 2-2. Minnesota Duluth, they're pretty hot lately. They had the 6-1 victory over Western Michigan after an 8-0 blowout last night.
Yep, and if we want to talk about national upsets, Michigan State just beat Notre Dame, who was number 5 in the country.
And Michigan State is 12-20 on the year.
Yep. So that's another crazy victory. Another thing, an in-state matchup between Bemidji State and MSU Mankato. Now, Mankato was number 4 in the nation, kind of quietly, entering the talk of, being number 1. I think we split the series with them at the beginning of the year.
Yep, we won one, and they just recently won one on our home ice on Hockey Day. So.
Yes, and that game finished 2-2 in overtime. Not sure who got the extra point in the 3-on-3, but maybe no one did. Who knows? Weird rules. So a few interesting college hockey games. Great experience for us, I'd say.
Just one more weekend of regular season college hockey, and then the fun stuff begins. We got the conference tournaments. After the conference tournaments will be, we all know, the NCAA tournament.
Yep, the one tournament Minnesota fans can get excited for because...
Yeah, we'll actually have multiple teams from the state of Minnesota in that one.
That's correct. So,
what a night.
a little bit longer of a video from us, but we really hope you enjoyed. Go ahead and make fun of us if you want to. We're not worried about it. Yeah. As long as you like and subscribe in this video. And, anything else you think they should know?
Everyone wish my boy Ben a happy birthday.
Thank you.
It was a good night.
Yeah, very good night.
Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, no problem. Hopefully, Jordan continues to come on. Maybe some support will get him to stay. And, hope you all have a good night. I will certainly have a good night, and we'll talk to you all tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone.